how this comes out. I'd like you to know that the way that I've gone about doing these talks is I spend a week or two cultivating consciousness surrounding a topic, and I get up here and let it fly. I don't do this with a lot of structure. I don't do this with a lot of, when I say there's preparation, but it's not, it's not like I'm sitting there outlining what it is that needs to be said. So, I would like you all to bow your heads right now and pray for me. That everything goes smooth. You know the truth about me. That's beautiful. So, the gift of childhood. This is our month-long series of gifts, our gifts. What it is that we each innately have as being one with the divine creator. It is our inheritance as being one with all that is, that we are viewed in the nature and image and likeness of our creator. Which means that we have special capabilities, right? And one of these capabilities is really this idea of childhood. For those of you who have done any kind of work with any kind of children, you will surely know this truth that comes from my friend Barbara Colarosa, who is, I served with Barbara on the board of the Bullying Recovery Resource Center. And Barbara is actually, this book is here, it's called Kids Worth It. This is one of many, many books that she has written. She is world renowned as far as somebody within the parental teaching movement, along with bullying recovery. She's basically written the book on bullying recovery. It is called The Bullied, the Innocent, and the Not So Innocent Bystander. Very, very interesting reading. Anyway, the point that I got with Barbara is that she's got it's amazing to me to begin to work with some of these other people who have such an elevated consciousness as far as what it means to truly work with children. And I feel so blessed to be a part of what we have here, where I'm able to, I coupled with my wonderful, wonderful team, would you please stand up? Anybody that's been on my team in the past year, would you please stand up? I'd like to recognize you. These folks have made a commitment to spiritual growth. They may not understand it as such, but it is very, very true and very real that I tend to learn a heck of a lot more from these kids than they do from me. And anybody who has spent a good amount of time around a kid will have heard that. So here's Barbara's quote. This comes from her book, Kids Are Worth It, Giving Your Child the Gift of Inner Discipline. I can imagine that someday we will regard our children not as creatures to manipulate or to change, but as messengers from a world we have long forgotten, who can reveal more about the true secrets of life and also our own lives than our parents were ever able to. Isn't it amazing how well that ties in with Wayne's reading? You know? You sit there and think about this idea that it was really the boy who was teaching the father. And anyone that has spent any kind of time in children's church will tell you that it is not so much about this idea of learning to control them as it is to learning to control yourself. I want to extend an opportunity to each and every person in this room. We have opens the children's church. We do. And it's big stuff. It's big fun. And if you're ready to accept the call and accept some real spiritual growth, I invite you to join us. So how do we become his children, right? That's what I was kind of saying here. Is that we want to become more like children, and that's, as a matter of fact, what Jesus would say. Is that correct? I think it's Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. And this reading here actually comes from the Science of Mind textbook, so this is Ernest putting some lenses on for us. We must become as little children. How we long for the return of the simple trust in life which children have. In their minds are no doubts. They have not yet been told they are sinners, destitute of divine guidance and spiritual life. The life of a child is lived in natural goodness. The prison walls of false experience soon build themselves into barriers, shutting out the light. And the child grows up, often losing their sense of that inner guide. We must return the way we came and know that life is good and to be trusted. So how are we to become little children? We have to shed the beliefs of what it is that the world has put on top of us, what it is that the world has told us that we need to be, what it is that we might need to be. And maybe harken back to something that is a little bit, I don't know, a little bit childish, maybe. This last button's hard. Thanks for your patience. I just wanted this off because I'm just hot. With that inner child, which that's the beauty of working with kids, is I get to get in touch with my own inner kid. Which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and share something with you, which this is embarrassing. But I had a nickname when I was growing up. My given name is Philip Joseph. My nickname growing up was PJ. And now you know, that's out of the bag. It's like this long source of embarrassment. I can't explain why. I can't explain why. Why did I learn to be embarrassed of myself? Why did that happen? Maybe Gloria Steinem has something for us on this one. This actually comes from Barbara's book as well. We do know that, like children, adults whose innermost feelings and preferences are ignored, ridiculed, punished, or repressed, come to believe that there is something profoundly, innately wrong with them. And conversely, those who are able to honor these inner promptings know what it is to feel at home with themselves. One thing is clear. The human mind can imagine both how to break self-esteem and how to nurture it. And imagining anything is the first step toward creating it. So imagination, that's what I get in touch with when I get in touch with my inner self, little PJ. Which interestingly, after having gone through, what is wonderful about the science of my classes is that this does get addressed a lot in the classes. It gets addressed in the classes, it gets addressed in practitioner training, and I continue to uncover more as a minister. And part of some of those things that have happened, I've found some very, very skilled practitioners who have been through some of this kind of work, who were able to help me with this. Reverend Jody Stevenson comes to mind. Jody is an extremely gifted minister who was able to help me to uncover some things that were preventing me from really embracing little PJ. Okay? I went through a series of a good session of work with Jody, and upon leaving, Jody had some sage advice. She says, "Phil, I want you to stop by Walmart on the way home, and I want you to go to the toilet." Now, why is it? I sat there. I thought, why is she having me do this? What is this all about? She says, "Well, I want you to go get a toy for little PJ." And for someone who spends so much time working, giving, I don't know that I spend an awful lot of time playing, right? Do I even know how? It was kind of a scary process. Do I even really know how to do this? It forced me to get to a new level of trust of the inner God within me. Because see, friends, Barbara Colarosa's book may be called Kids Are Worth It, Giving Your Child the Gift of Inner Discipline. But I tell you, if you read this with a science of mind bent, you will find that could be subtitled, Giving Your Inner Child the Gift of Discipline. Because what discipline really is it's practice, right? Practice. Practice listening to the inner child. Anyway, I'm in Walmart. I don't like stores like this. I have a hard time with this. Anyway, I'm at the toy aisle, and I'm lamenting. What is it that I should be doing here? What is it that I should do? And here's the thing, it's funny, where am I coming from? I'm still coming from my adult, aren't I? I'm still coming from lack and limitation. Because, friends, that's what we as adults have been ingrained to believe, is that we are not capable of certain things. There's no way that we could do that, right? That's what the world tells us. That's what people tell us. So I had to get quiet and ask little PJ what it is that he would like. And he answered. He was in there because, see, friends, deep down within each and every one of you, there's a little Mark. There's a little Heather. There's a little Kenny. There's a little Karen. She's a little baby. There's a little Clyde. It's in there. And this voice said, get these two things. And I picked up a Slinky. And I picked up what was the other one? Oh, it was a yo-yo. And I walked out of the store, not quite certain why I had gotten two, even though I was only instructed to get one. I go out into the parking lot, and I see out there in the parking lot there is a young woman who has a son who is approximately 3 years old. And he has white hair, just like me when I was growing up. I had white hair. Almost as if I was wizened from a time that was not possible. Is this Benjamin Button? What's going on here? Alan, you got one here too, right? Yeah. And I approached this woman, and it's kind of a weird approach, right? Ma'am, would you mind if I gave your son a gift? Because the voice said, you need to give this kid a gift. And she looked, after looking at me a little bit funny, she could see the sincerity on my face and said, yes, she can. I knelt down before this kid, and I handed him the Slinky. And I've never been the same. It was as if what had happened is there was some kind of healing that had transcended across time. And I had thoroughly accepted who I was. I was no longer embarrassed to be able to say that this is who I was. You'd be shocked to see some of my previous photographs. Maybe this would be shocking or not. But I'm 3.5 years old, having just given myself a haircut. I've got white hair. Right? It's like crooked like this. And I'm wearing Ernie on my shirt. So friends, as I continue to go through this process, anytime that I go about the idea of trying to get centered and to find my imaginative capabilities, I tap into my inner child self and ask, what is it that you would have me do? Because see, that's the one that doesn't have any limitation, that doesn't have any of these ideas that the world should tell me how it is that I should behave. That's what was so beautiful about everybody up here dancing. Just pretty much dance like nobody's watching. Do what you are called to do and live in a state of joy. I've said it often, and I'm wondering how many of you actually remember this. Who here knows what Ernest Holmes' definition of joy is? This is extremely simple, yet extremely powerful. The emotion excited by the expectancy of good. the emotion excited by the expectancy of good. Children live in that state. They know that the only thing that is going to come to them is good. They have, as my friend Jody Stevenson would say in her new book, The Trio of Treasures. This is fantastic, folks. Find Reverend Jody Stevenson and buy this book. Right? One of the affirmations that she uses in here is extremely simple. With curiosity, I trust whatever happens to me. Simple, profound, and very much a statement of what Ernest would say about joy. So we have our imaginative process, right? Now, how does imagination work into science of mind? What do we know about imagination? We know that engenders feeling, right? That imaginative capacity helps us to engender the feeling, which in turn activates the law of cause and effect, beginning to bring things into our consciousness, into our awareness, into our experience, right? That's what we know about imagination. That's why it's so powerful. Neville Goddard, who is a New Thought pioneer, if you have not read Neville Goddard, another fellow to pick up, this guy is incredible. He talks about the imaginative faculties as being the primary driver and source in the creation process. And as adults, we tend to be very shut off from these. We think we are imagining. We think we are. But are we really? Or is it really just another old tape that's looping through? The child can help clue us into newer things. So I'd be remiss if I didn't bring into this discussion some kind of Christmas lore. I mean, it's December. We got to talk about this a little bit, right? So I think what would really work well right now is maybe talking a little bit about another little boy who reminds me a lot of me. Ralphie. Who knows what movie I'm talking about when I talk about? Everybody knows it, right? It's A Christmas Story. They played for 24 hours straight on TNT. And I swear to God, I might watch 12. It's one day where I get to sit back and just relive that entire thing. And I have to be honest, folks, it never gets old. This story never gets old. Now, when I start to apply a science of mind bent to this story, it begins to take on a whole new meaning to me, particularly from the idea of the point of imagination. What do we know about Ralphie? What does Ralphie want for Christmas? A Red Ryder BB gun. That is what Ralphie wants for Christmas. And who knows, it could be at the timeline of the story where it is that he actually, when he starts his imaging process. But I'm guessing it's somewhere in November. Right? Ralphie has these vivid imaginations, these vivid sequences in which he is the hero in this story. He's saving his entire family with his Red Ryder BB gun, right? And his mother, dressed in, the Old West garb, turns and says, "Oh, thank you, Ralphie," Vivid descriptors, vivid imagination process. And he gets all kinds of feeling from this. And so what's the first thing Ralphie does? He runs and tells his mother, "I want a Red Ryder BB." And his mom famously says, we're going to do it together. Everybody ready? "You'll shoot your eye out." You'll shoot your eye out. So Ralphie takes his imaginative process and takes it to somebody else. How often do we do that? We take it to the wrong person. We take our dream and what it is that we would like to do to the wrong person who plants that seed. Then you cannot do this. That will never work. Ralphie is not to be deterred, though. Not to be deterred. He says, I'm going to, he has another one of these grand visions, right? And this vision gets him to write his theme paper. Christmas theme, what he wants for Christmas. And he writes this beautiful paper. I picture myself down there with my big pencil and big cheap pen. Everybody remember the big pencil with the big cheap pad? Yeah, oh my God. So I'm writing with this, but Ralphie's writing all this done. He figures that, man, I created the magnum opus. That's what he actually titles it, the magnum opus. And so he gives this to his teacher. He comes back and he's all excited to see his grade, only to find he gets a C minus. A C minus. See, society has told him once again what is acceptable, right? This is not acceptable, Ralphie. And written on the paper in huge ink is, "Don't shoot your eye out." And poor Ralphie has this vision again. Now this vision, it's actually begun to seep its way into his subconscious now, hasn't it? Because what does he see? He sees up at the front of the room, he sees his mother and his teacher, both dressed in witch garb, saying, poor guy, But Ralphie is not deterred, is he? He's still, the power of imagination as a child is so much greater than anything else. He continues to imagine that this is the process. And eventually it gets to the point where we get, it's Christmas morning, right? And Ralphie, after getting rid of the nightmare pink bunny suit that his aunt has sent, if you haven't seen this, God, you gotta see it. After getting rid of that, there's one final gift under the tree. And friends, that's what's so special about Christmas. The gifts. Because what they represent is they represent unopened, untapped potential. They represent possibility. And as Ralphie was there, and he finally gets that thing open, and you can see the look of joy, elation across his face as he opens this gift. He's just so excited, he can't get it open fast enough. Because he knows victory is at hand. He knows it. He knows the law is bringing to him that which he's been thinking about. Or maybe just Santa Claus. But still, it's come his way. So he goes outside. He's got this thing all fired. He sets it up, and he fires the gun, and what happens? It kicks back and knocks him down into a snowdrift, knocking his glasses off, and he lays there thinking, oh my God, I shot my eye. How often do we do this? Because see, friends, you were invited last week by Reverend Rick to kick it into a new gear, right? To find a new gear in life. Find something new. Do something different. Something that maybe you haven't done before. The power of imagination will make that possible. And we must persevere. Because guess what, friends? A lot of times what happens is that when we placed our order, we get opportunities to show that it is actually transpiring for us. Come on, you get this, kick back. In order for us to be able to make the demonstration. This is what I really want. That is where conviction actually comes from. I have no doubt that Ralphie ended up becoming, we don't see this in any other kind of footage, because this ends famously in a Chinese restaurant with a duck. Because But what Ralphie ends up getting is, I know that he got that resolve to continue doing what it was that he needed to do. And we are all called to do something a little bit different, a little bit greater. And if we call upon some of those icons that might even be in your past, like this. Some of you may know, some of you may not, that I have pictures of Sesame Street characters in my office. My office is actually not much of an office, per se. It's really kind of just stacks of stuff here and there. There's pictures over here. And it's kind of open. It's out in the middle so everybody can see what's going on. But I got Bert. I got Ernie. I got Cookie Monster. The only thing I've even got Oscar the Grouch in the logo. Okay? The only thing I'm missing is I'm missing Big Bird and Snuffleupagus. One day my collection will be complete. But I bring these characters up because they help me to get in touch. They help me to get in touch with who it is that I really am. And it may sound, guess what, folks? Childish. pausing now, we breathe. We breathe and know that within us is the divine power of the child. The divine power of imagination exists and runs in, through, and as that source of God. It is divine creation running through us. I know that within each of us, this special sense of being, this childhood, this anointed state exists. Each of us are children of the Creator. Each of us are children of the Creator. We have all the power of the universe at our disposal. And I know that as we move into a sense of larger lengthening, of stretching who it is that we are, that imagination can serve us and serve us well. We dream greatly. And we know that we have a spiritual support network wherever we're at. The right people come to us to be able to share our dreams with. They're supportive. And that sense of internal guidance that we have is validated. I know that all is well. I know that the child that is within me is part of the holy integration that is taking place. That is the meaning of holy. Perfect, whole, and complete. That is the truth for me, and that is the truth for everyone in this room. We are each perfect, whole, and complete, made in the image and likeness of the Creator. I'm grateful for this truth. I know that it is so. Please join me in saying, so.